The balcony doors slid open again, and Lieutenant Armin Hale and Princess Silara returned to the Grand Hall. The music and chatter felt louder now. Yet Armin carried a new weight in his chest, hope and responsibility. He followed Silara through columns of polished steel toward a quieter corner. They reached a small lounge area lit by soft amber lamps. Plush seats and low tables gave the space a calm feel. Silara gestured to 2 chairs. "Please sit," she invited. Armin lowered himself into a seat. He straightened his back and folded his hands. Silara stood by a tall display unit. Holographic panels hovered above it, showing scenes from the Galactic War. Bright lasers, dusty battlefields, and brave soldiers filled the images. Armin watched as a figure in Virian armor, General Taurus, led troops against a massive enemy force. The panels shifted to old recordings of news reports and personal logs. "My father kept many records," Silara said softly. "He wanted all worlds to remember the cost of war." She tapped a panel, and the scene changed to Taurus standing beside Armin's grandfather, Admiral Jonas Hale. They shook hands after the Battle of Aziri Prime. Both wore tired smiles. Armin leaned forward. "I did not know they met," he said. "My grandfather never spoke much of it." Silara paused the holo recording. She faced Armin. "He did speak," she said. "He spoke to me." Her green eyes glistened. "When I was young, he would tell stories of a brave human boy who saved many lives. He said that boy's family carried a special courage." She paused and looked away. "Then I saw you." Armin felt a warmth in his chest. He had always tried to live up to his family's name. Yet he never expected to hear such words from an alien princess. "I am honored," he said. "I only did what any soldier should do." Silara shook her head. "You did more. You led a small unit to rescue civilians trapped behind enemy lines. You risked your life." Her voice held respect. "My father admired that bravery. He said the boy must grow into a man who would guide both our peoples." Armin's mind raced. The mission she hinted at seemed larger than a simple treaty. He asked quietly, "Why now? Why call me here after so many years?" Silara's gaze returned to the holo displays. General Taurus passed away before he could complete his final plan. She tapped another panel. The image changed to a torn treaty scroll, half-written. "He began a peace treaty between Virians and humans. He moved my people's leaders to agree. But he died before it could finish." Armin studied the broken treaty. Words hovered in empty space. "So the war continued," he said softly. Silara nodded. "Yes." Tensions rose again. Many forgot his vision. "My father's last wish was for someone to finish what he started." She turned to Armin. "Be steady. That someone is you." Armin's heart pounded. He felt a mix of fear and purpose. He stood and bowed deeply. "I will honor his wish," he said. "Tell me what I must do." Silara's lips curved into a determined smile. "First, we must travel to Viren, the capital world. There we will present the treaty draft. But we must be careful. Some do not want peace." Armin nodded, his resolve firm. "Then we move forward together." Silara extended her hand. Armin took it. In their grip lay the future of 2 worlds. Draped in the glow of amber lamps, Princess Silara and Lieutenant Armin Hale stood in the quiet lounge. Between them lay the half-finished treaty scroll, its empty spaces waiting for words of unity. Armin studied the ornate script and felt both honor and pressure. Silara watched him. "My father wrote the first lines," she explained. "He named the terms of military cooperation, trade, cultural exchange." She paused. "But he left the sections on justice and mutual security unfinished." Armin nodded. "Those parts are the hardest," he said. "They need careful wording so neither side fears betrayal." Silara's green eyes met his. "Exactly. That is why I need your help." She stepped closer. "You will serve as my envoy and co-author. Your voice will bring trust to the humans. Mine will bring trust to the Virians." Armin swallowed. He had never negotiated at this level. His missions had been tactical, not diplomatic. Yet Silara's faith in him gave strength. He straightened. "I will do my best, Your Highness." She smiled softly. "Please, Silara is fine with me." Her tone was gentle, as if setting him at ease. "I ask more than writing words. I ask you to stand by me in Viren's High Council. Speak for peace." Armin took a steady breath. "I accept." Silara nodded, relief and hope shining in her eyes. She tapped the scroll display. The empty section glowed. "First, we must define mutual security." My father wrote, "Neither fleet may enter the other's space without invitation." But many generals demand stronger language. Armin tapped the empty lines. He thought of his own fleet's readiness. "How about any movement of armed vessels within designated borders requires advance notice and unanimous council approval." He read aloud. "This ensures transparency without weakening defenses." Silara's smile grew. "Yes, that is fair." She touched the display, and his words appeared on the scroll. Beside it, a holo image showed two fleets in formation, alert but peaceful. They worked side by side. Armin suggested terms for trade: fair tariffs, shared technology exchange, and joint research on medical cures. Silara contributed cultural clauses: exchange student programs, shared festivals, and language partnerships. With each clause, the treaty grew stronger. As they wrote, Armin noticed the time. Stars outside had shifted. The aurora moved deeper into hyperspace. He worried about reaching Viren in time. "How long until we arrive?" he asked. Silara checked a small console. 20 hours, she replied. "We must prepare our arguments and gather evidence of past cooperation." Armin nodded. "I will review the Alliance archives. They hold records of joint missions." He paused. "And I will arrange messages to my superiors, informing them of our progress." Silara placed a hand on his arm. "Thank you. Your dedication means more than you know." Her voice softened. "My father trusted you. Now I do too." Armin met her gaze. "I will not let either of you down." Silara stepped back and surveyed the glowing treaty. "Tomorrow, at dawn our time, we will hold a private briefing with the Virian Council. I will introduce you as co-author. Then we will face the Council's questions." Armin nodded, determination in his eyes. "I will prepare." He glanced at the treaty. In his mind, he saw two worlds moving toward peace. The task was immense, but he felt ready. Silara smiled with quiet confidence. "Rest now, Lieutenant. We have a long day ahead." Armin offered a respectful bow. "Good night, Princess." He left the lounge, heart steady, mind focused on the future he would help build. Morning light filtered through the Aurora's viewing ports as Lieutenant Armin Hale stepped onto the walkway leading to Princess Silara's flagship, the dreadnought Phoenix. Sleek in silver, the Phoenix gleamed under distant stars. Armin's boots echoed on the metal floor. He carried a datapad filled with treaty notes and Alliance Archives records. Silara awaited him by the entrance, dressed in a ceremonial uniform. Her ash-gray hair was neatly tied back. She offered a small smile. "Good morning, Armin. Ready for Viren?" Armin returned her smile with a nod. "Yes, Your Highness. I reviewed our sections on security and trade. I added some case studies from past human Virian missions." Silara glanced at his datapad. "Excellent. Your examples will strengthen our argument." She waved to a nearby officer. "Open the gate." Heavy doors slid aside, revealing the Phoenix's grand hangar. Dozens of smaller shuttles were lined up. One marked VIP bore the Virian royal crest. Silara and Armin walked toward it. Guards saluted. Armin returned the gesture, feeling the weight of history at his back. Inside the shuttle, the cabin was calm and spacious. Holo panels displayed star charts. Energy hummed softly from unseen reactors. Silara took a seat by the window. Armin sat across, placing his datapad on the table. The shuttle launched with a gentle lurch. Through the window, Our men watched the aurora fade into distance. Then hyperspace light stretched into bright streaks. Time felt different here. Silara spoke quietly. Viren's leaders will test every clause. They fear loss of power. Her green eyes held concern. We must show them trust brings strength. Our men nodded. I will speak clearly. I trust our words. He opened his datapad and reviewed bullet points. Transparency, shared defense, mutual prosperity. He practiced each phrase under his breath. They traveled in silence for hours. Our men used the time to refine his notes. He added a story of a joint rescue of colonists from a rogue asteroid that saved thousands of lives. He formatted it to present confidently. Suddenly, the shuttle jolted. Red lights flashed. Alarms beeped softly. Armin's heart raced. Silara touched her comm device. Report. A calm voice replied. Minor turbulence in the warp corridor. All systems stable. ETA unchanged. Armin exhaled. Just a reminder, we are in hostile space. Silara nodded. Many in the corridor do not welcome our mission. Armin closed his datapad. Then we must be ready. He studied Silara's determined face. Your father faced worse odds. Silara smiled faintly. He did, and he believed humans shared his courage. She paused. I am glad to have you by my side. Armin felt pride. And I am honored to stand with you. He offered his hand. She placed hers in it for a moment. Their hands clasped over the datapad, unity symbolized. The shuttle emerged from hyperspace near Viren Station. Through the viewport, twin moons orbited a green and blue world. The planet's surface glowed with city lights. Silara tapped the controls. We have arrived. Armin stood and straightened his uniform. Then let us begin. Silara nodded. Together. As the shuttle docked, both felt the weight of expectation and the promise of peace. The shuttle's hatch opened with a soft hiss. Lieutenant Armin Hale stepped onto the gleaming platform of Viren Station. He and Princess Silara stood before a crowd of Virian officials, journalists, and curious onlookers. Tall banners bore Silara's royal crest alongside Earth's emblem. Armin straightened his shoulders and met Silara's calm gaze. A Virian announcer spoke in a clear, resonant tone. Welcome, Princess Silara and her human envoy, Lieutenant Armin Hale. His voice carried across the platform. Cameras flashed and holoscreens projected their images to millions watching live on Viren. Armin felt eyes of an entire planet upon him. Silara stepped forward. She raised her hand, and the crowd quieted. People of Viren, she began, her voice steady. I stand here to honor my father's dream, a dream of peace and cooperation between our worlds. She paused as soft lights illuminated the treaty scroll displayed beside her. With Lieutenant Hale's help, we will build that future together. Our men watched faces in the crowd. Some showed hope, others showed doubt. A few council guards exchanged wary glances. He knew the real challenge lay ahead. He stepped forward, voice clear and respectful. Honored leaders of Viren, he addressed the council's front row. I am here to share Earth's commitment to peace. Our worlds have fought side by side in the past. Together, we have saved lives and explored new frontiers. He gestured to the treaty display. This document protects both our peoples. It ensures security, fair trade, and cultural exchange. A murmur ran through the audience. An older Virian senator leaned forward. She wore a silver uniform with a scar across her cheek, a veteran of past wars. Lieutenant Hale, she said, voice firm, how can we trust humans to honor these terms? Earth has its own interests. Armin met her gaze without fear. Senator Ikara, trust is built through action. My fleet will participate in joint patrols. We will welcome Virian observers on our ships. Every step we take will prove our sincerity. He opened a holo panel showing past missions where humans and Virians rescued each other's crews. Images of shared victories glowed in the air. Silara nodded proudly. Our histories are linked by courage and sacrifice, she added. Let us not forget the unity my father fought for. She tapped the treaty display. The section on cultural exchange lit up, showing student programs, shared festivals, and joint research centers. A younger counselor stood. He wore bronze armor and looked skeptical. What guarantee do we have against sabotage? Some within our ranks oppose this treaty. His words drew tense silence. Silera exchanged a quick look with Armin. He spoke next. Any attempt to undermine these agreements will face consequences under both legal systems. We have included clauses for impartial investigations and joint tribunals. Together, we will root out those who wish to reignite conflict. The crowd watched the glowing treaty. Senator Ikara leaned back, thoughtful. The younger counselor frowned but did not reply. Silera placed a hand on Armin's arm. "Thank you," she whispered. Armin gave a small nod. He felt the tide turning. The first contact had been tense but hopeful. As cameras continued to roll, he and Silera prepared for the next phase, winning the High Council's full support. The promise of peace hovered in the air, fragile but real, ready to be forged into lasting alliance. Late at night, the glow of Viren's moons shone through the palace windows. Lieutenant Armin Hale and Princess Silera walked down a silent corridor lined with tall columns. They had left the gala early to rest, but both knew rest would not come easy. Silera paused before a carved door. "Armin," she whispered, "I need to show you something." She pressed a panel. The door slid open, revealing a dim chamber. Holographic screens flickered, showing maps and private messages. Armin frowned. "What is this place?" Silera motioned him inside. "My personal archive. I found signs of a secret group within the High Council. They opposed the treaty." She tapped a screen. A list of names appeared, council members and officers who met in secret. Armin studied the list. "Who leads them?" Silera pointed to one name. Krellis Vaughn. Councillor Krellis. He lost his family in the last treaty attempt. He blames cooperation with humans for their deaths. Now he works to block peace. Armin felt a knot in his stomach. If he uncovers our plan, he could turn the council against us. Silera nodded. He already planted doubts at the gala. His allies whisper lies. She tapped another screen. A hololog played a meeting where Krellis and his followers plotted to destroy treaty drafts and frame human sabotage. Armin's jaw clenched. We must stop him. But how? Silera's eyes were determined. We need evidence of his betrayal. If we show the council his true intentions, they will support peace. Armin thought of the shuttle's data core. During transport, we transferred logs to my datapad. I have some encrypted messages I did not open. He pulled out his datapad and handed it to her. Check for orders from Krellis or proof of sabotage. Silera took the datapad. Her fingers moved swiftly. Lines of code and messages scrolled. She found an encrypted folder labeled Operation Shadow. She decrypted it and gasped. He planned an attack on the human embassy. He wanted to blame humans and reignite war. Armin's eyes widened. That is enough proof. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Let's bring this to the council. Silera hesitated. We must be careful. If Krellis learns we have proof, he will go into hiding. She closed the folder and locked it. But we can't wait. Armin nodded. Then tonight, we go to the council chamber. We present these logs. His voice was firm. Silera agreed. Meet me at the chamber entrance in 1 hour. She gave him a quick, trusting smile and slipped back into the archive. Armin exited quietly and found a secure corridor. He stored his datapad in an inner pocket. As he moved through shadows, he felt the weight of their mission. The fate of 2 worlds depended on this night's actions. In the council chamber, heavy doors loomed ahead. Armin took a deep breath and entered first. Silera followed, her royal presence filling the room. On the great circular table, holographic panels awaited. Silera raised her hand, and the chamber's lights brightened. Honored council members, she began, voice echoing. Armin stepped forward, placing the datapad on the table. He tapped the screen. Holos of Krellis's secret meetings and attack plans filled the air. Gasps and murmurs echoed around the chamber. Silara spoke clearly. Counselor Krellis plotted against our treaty. He endangered both our peoples. She let the evidence speak. Council members whispered among themselves. Krellis Vaughn sat stunned, his face pale. Armin met his gaze. We offer proof. Justice must follow. Silence fell. Then, one by one, council members stood in agreement. The hidden opposition had been exposed. Silara turned to Armin, gratitude in her eyes. Thank you. Armin nodded, relief washing over him. The path to peace was clearer, but the real work had just begun. Dawn light filtered through the tall windows of the palace courtyard. Princess Silara led Lieutenant Armin Hale into the open space, where polished stones formed a wide circle. Around them, the royal guard stood at attention, their silver armor gleaming in the morning sun. Armin looked at the guards. He remembered Silara's words last night. The Virian trial would test his loyalty. He felt a mixture of nerves and determination. He stepped into the circle, standing before Silara. You have exposed the hidden threat, Silara said, voice calm. Now the council requires proof of your commitment. You must face the trial of trust. Armin nodded. I am ready. His heart raced, but he held his posture firm. A guard placed a blade in Armin's hand. It was a training weapon, light and balanced. Another guard activated a holo projection at the circle's center. Mechanized combat drones appeared, their metal shells reflecting light. They hovered and awaited commands. Silara raised her hand. Defeat all drones without harming the courtyard or the guards. Show us your skill and respect. Armin took a steady breath and advanced. The first drone lunged. He sidestepped and struck its power core with a precise thrust. It fell with a controlled spark. The next drone fired a beam. He ducked, rolled, and slashed its servos. Sparks flew. With each move, Armin adapted. He remembered his training in human combat schools, balance, timing, and respect for his opponent. Though the drones lacked life, he treated them as worthy challengers. Silara watched from the edge of the circle, her green eyes calm. Guards observed in respectful silence. Armin felt their scrutiny, but kept his focus on the drones. The fourth drone attacked in unison with the fifth. Armin spun the blade in a wide arc to deflect their laser shots. He closed the distance, striking one drone's sensor, and then disabling the other with a swift kick. Both collapsed. Only one drone remained. It was larger with reinforced armor. It hovered, spinning its energy blades. Armin raised his blade and studied its movements. He waited for an opening. The drone lunged forward. Armin blocked with his forearm, then brought his blade down, carving a shallow groove across its hull. The drone paused, its systems disrupted. Armin stepped back, lowered his blade, and bowed slightly. The drone powered down, lights fading. Armin had completed the trial. Silence followed. Then Silara stepped into the circle. She extended her hand. You have proven your skill and respect for our customs. You honor my father's legacy. Armin wiped sweat from his brow and accepted her hand. Thank you, Princess. I respect your people and our shared goals. Silara smiled, relief and pride in her expression. The council will hear of this. Your actions speak louder than words. A guard approached and retracted the drones. The courtyard gates opened, revealing early council members entering. Silara addressed them. Lieutenant Hale passes the trial of trust. He has proven his loyalty and skill. Council members nodded and offered respectful bows. Armin felt a warm pride in his chest. He had not only written words of peace but demonstrated his honor in action. As the group moved toward the council chamber, Silara whispered to Armin, "Tomorrow we finalize the treaty. With trials passed and opposition exposed, our path is clear." Armin nodded, determination shining in his eyes. Together, we will succeed. In the Grand Council chamber, soft light reflected off polished marble floors. Lieutenant Armin Hale and Princess Silura stood before the High Council's semicircular table of delegates. The half-finished treaty scroll hovered between them, glowing softly. Silura spoke first. Honored delegates, today we stand at a crossroads. My father's dream of lasting peace can become reality. She turned to Armin. Lieutenant Hale will now present the final clauses. Armin stepped forward. He took a deep breath, recalling the trial and the hidden opposition's exposed plot. His voice was calm and clear. Esteemed leaders, this treaty ensures mutual security, fair trade, and cultural exchange. It includes unbiased tribunals, transparent naval movements, and shared research programs. As he spoke, holoed illustrations showed fleets patrolling side by side, joint research labs, and cultural festivals. Armin felt confidence grow with each word. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. Councillor Krellis Vaughn strode in, flanked by armed guards. His face was pale with anger. He held a data cylinder high. These treaty clauses are built on lies, he shouted. This cylinder contains evidence of human sabotage on Viren Station. You would hand your world to our enemy based on false trust. A murmur ran through the delegates. Shock and doubt filled the room. Silara's eyes widened in disbelief. Armin stepped forward. Councillor Krellis, let us see your proof. Krellis pressed the cylinder into a slot on the central console. Holographic footage flickered on the screen. The images showed human technicians tampering with station systems, an attempt to disable shields during the reception. Gasps echoed. Silara's voice rang out. This is a forgery. She touched the console. Instantly, security logs appeared around the footage. Silara pointed. Note the timestamp and the uniform design. The uniforms in the footage matched those of Krellis's personal guard. She tapped a verification code. This footage was altered. Armin added, Krellis's plan failed when loyal officers captured the real saboteurs, members of Krellis's faction. They wore stolen human uniforms. He opened the datapad and displayed intercepted communications, orders from Krellis to frame humans. Delegates murmured as the evidence appeared. Krellis's face turned red. He opened his mouth but could not speak. Silara continued, My father warned us that some would use fear to block peace. Now we see his warning come true. She turned to the council. Will we allow betrayal to rule our future, or will we choose unity? One by one, delegates stood. The senator with the scar, Ikara, spoke first. This chamber will not be deceived by lies. We stand with the princess and the Earth Envoy. Others followed, bows of agreement filling the room. Defeated, Krellis's guards lowered their weapons. A security officer stepped forward to arrest him. Krellis glared at Armin and Silara, but said nothing. Silara placed her hand on Armin's arm. Thank you, she whispered. Armin nodded, relief washing over him. The chamber's atmosphere had shifted from tension to celebration. Holo confetti glittered in the air as delegates cheered. Silara turned to Armin and smiled. Tomorrow, we sign the treaty. Armin returned her smile. We have earned it. In the heart of the council chamber, two worlds stood united, stronger for their trials, and ready to write a new chapter together. Early morning sunlight filled the grand hall of the council chamber. Delegates from every Virian district and representatives from Earth waited in hushed anticipation. A long table stood at the center, its surface polished to a mirror shine. On one side lay the completed treaty scroll, on the other, quills and inkpots prepared for signatures. Princess Silara and Lieutenant Armin Hale entered together. Delegates rose and bowed. Silara's heart beat with pride. Armin felt a steady calm. They took their places at the head of the table. Silara stepped forward and addressed the assembly. Today, we honor my father's vision and your courage to choose peace. Her voice was clear and strong. Let us bind our worlds by ink and promise. Armin unrolled the treaty fully for all to see. The clauses of security, trade, culture, and justice glowed softly. He turned to the delegate from Earth, Ambassador Lee, who stood in formal uniform. "Ambassador, will you join us in this moment?" Ambassador Lee nodded and took the first quill. With a steady hand, he signed the treaty, his signature looping across the parchment. He dipped the quill and bowed. "On behalf of Earth, I pledge our honor." A Varian counselor from the northern quadrant stepped forward next. He signed with careful strokes. One by one, delegates followed, their signatures forming a tapestry of unity. Each name carried the weight of millions. Finally, only Princess Silara and Lieutenant Armin remained. Silara held her quill, her hand steady. She signed her name beneath the others. A soft cheer rose. She looked to Armin. Armin rose and took the final quill. He thought of his grandfather, of General Taurus, of every challenge they had overcome together. He placed the quill to the parchment and wrote his own name. The hall erupted in applause. Silara smiled at him, pride shining in her green eyes. Delegates stepped forward to offer handshakes and congratulations. Voices rose in joyful chatter. Cameras on hovering drones captured the moment for all watching across both worlds. Silara raised her hand for silence. "Let this treaty mark the beginning of a new era. May our children know only cooperation, not conflict." She bowed deeply. Armin stood beside her. "We will honor this promise each day," he said. "Together, we will build a future of shared hope." The crowd cheered again. Music swelled as delegates moved to sign a companion charter for student exchanges and cultural festivals. Banners unfurled, showing Earth's blue-green sphere next to Viren's twin moons. As celebrations began, Silara and Armin stepped away from the table. In a quiet alcove, Silara turned to him. "You have done more than sign a document. You gave us trust." Her smile was soft. Armin felt warmth in his chest. "Your people welcomed me. We did this together." He offered his arm. She accepted, and they walked back through the cheering crowd. Outside the chamber, sunlight bathed the palace grounds. Flowers bloomed in gardens tended by both human and Varian gardeners. A gentle breeze carried laughter. In that moment, two worlds stood united, ready to face tomorrow side by side. Days later, the palace gardens buzzed with life. Banners celebrating the new treaty fluttered in the warm breeze. Humans and Varians walked side by side, sharing stories and laughing. Lieutenant Armin Hale and Princess Silara stood on a marble terrace overlooking the gardens, watching children play under colored lanterns. Armin smiled at the scene. "It is beautiful," he said. "I never imagined we could reach this day." Silara nodded, her green eyes soft with satisfaction. "My father dreamed of peace like this. Now it is real." She turned to Armin. "Your courage and honesty made it possible." Armin felt a wave of humility. "I only did what I believed was right. Your leadership inspired me." Silara placed a hand on his arm. "And I could not have done it without you." She paused, looking out at the gathering crowd. "Tomorrow, we open the first joint council meeting. Leaders from both worlds will meet here to plan shared projects." Armin's heart warmed. The future is bright. He pointed to a nearby fountain where humans and Varians dropped flowers into the water as a symbol of unity. "Look at them. Two peoples once at war, now celebrating together." Silara watched the fountain's gentle ripples. "It shows what peace can bring." She turned back to Armin. "Will you join me at the council meeting?" Armin straightened. "I would be honored." He felt the weight of responsibility, but also hope for what lay ahead. That evening, Silara and Armin attended a banquet in the Grand Hall. Long tables held dishes from Earth and Viren. Crystal goblets sparkled under the chandeliers. Delegates raised their glasses in a toast. "To unity," Silara proclaimed. "To the bond between our worlds." Glasses clinked and voices echoed. Armin lifted his glass. "To friendship and a shared future." The crowd cheered again, and music filled the hall. After the banquet, Silara and Armin walked through the palace corridors. lit by soft lanterns. Guards at their posts offered respectful nods. At the end of the corridor, Celera paused before a portrait of General Torres and Admiral Jonas Hale, standing side by side. She placed her hand on the frame. "They would be proud," she whispered. Armin stood beside her. "They set the path. We carried it forward." He looked at her. "Thank you for trusting me." Celera turned and smiled. "And thank you for believing." On the balcony above the gardens, they watched the stars. The twin moons of Viren glowed softly beside Earth's distant blue light. Armin felt peace settle in his heart. "This is only the beginning," he said. Celera nodded. "Yes, a beginning of cooperation, discovery, and hope." They stood together in the night's quiet. In that moment, two worlds, once enemies, shone as one under the same sky, bound by trust, courage, and the promise of tomorrow.